we have?
Wait till she gets here.
I did.
Okay.
Go.
So today we have our guest speaker, Dale. So Dale is a founding member and serves on the board of the Rochester Spiritualist Society. She's been married to her husband David for 53 years. Oh, impressive. She has a daughter, a son, and a wonderful daughter-in-law. Dale has been a student of spiritualism since the 1970s, so she's here to school us all. Teasing. She is a healer and a medium. Outside of church, she volunteers with Lifespan, helping seniors volunteers with Erase, which I'm sure is short for something.
Eliminating racism and seeking equity.
Thank you. Which is a local human rights organization in Irondequoit. And she also teaches laughter yoga. So please join me in a warm welcome for Dale.
Thank you. So, I was trying to figure out what to talk about, and I thought, for some reason, I thought I should talk about healing. And I was looking through my books, I was looking on the internet, I was like, what am I gonna do? And I found this book that I have that's called Healers on Healing. And it's like, everybody wrote something, like little paragraphs or little chapters. And there's like Norman Cousins, Ram Dass, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, like a lot of people we've heard of, Deepak Chopra, and Bernie Siegel, lots of people. So I was looking at some of them and reading them, and I go, oh, that's interesting, I like that. And then I'd read another one, and I go, oh, I like that, but I don't like all that. And so then I thought, well, why don't I just pick out what I like from several different ones? So that's what I did. So the first one is Jack Schwartz, and he is an internationally known teacher, author, and research pioneer in the voluntary control of mind-body processes and enhanced states of consciousness. So he says, I believe that the common denominator of all healing methods is unconditional love. That sounds right to me. A love that respects the uniqueness of each individual and empowers them to take responsibility for their own well-being. And it seems that Louise Hay agrees with him. She says, there's a song by the Beatles that goes, all you need is love, right? I believe that's true, she says. The current of love is what flows through everything. All the healing techniques in the world won't really help unless love goes with them. So many of our problems, physical, emotional, even spiritual, come from a lack of love. I believe most people need to learn to love themselves again in order to truly heal themselves. And then this one I thought was very interesting, and I was drawn to this because, and this guy's name is George Goodhart. Seriously, Goodhart, George Goodhart. So besides love, there must be something else that goes along with this. He's a chiropractor, and my husband's a chiropractor, which some people know. So that's kind of why, and it all made sense because I've heard all this stuff before from chiropractors. So he says, the human body has a remarkable built-in healing mechanism. It is constructed and programmed in such a way that it can heal itself, right? You get cut, it heals. You get a cold, you get better. You know, maybe you break your leg and they set it, but your body heals it. So your body is set up to heal itself. Sometimes it just needs a little help. In chiropractic, we speak of an innate intelligence, which I thought, that sounds like infinite intelligence, right? Only it's innate, so it's within us. But that's very interesting. Or, he says it's also called a physiological homeostasis that automatically strives to restore equilibrium in the body when an imbalance occurs in any of its many complex systems. And we do have a lot of complex systems. This innate intelligence is the common basis for all healing. So chiropractors believe that if you remove any impingement in the nervous system. A lot of people think chiropractors work with pain. Pain is not what it's about. It's about the nervous system and about and it's all electrical impulses which go through the nervous system, right? And tells your body what to do. So if your spine is out, even a little bit, doesn't look like it's out, but it's out a little bit, it's gonna pinch those nerves. It's like pinching a hose and water doesn't go through. So it pinches those nerves. So their job is to make sure that the nerves are not impinged and then the body can function well. So that's pretty interesting. People are healed by many different kinds of healers and systems because the real healer is within. The various healing modalities are merely different ways of activating that inner healer. This person is Shakti Gawain. I have not heard of a lot of these people, but you may have. An author of the best-selling books Creative Visualization and Living in the Light. So he says, to summarize then, an effective therapist of any kind is one who can help patients, clients, or students get in touch with inner wisdom. Sounds like a theme here. And start trusting themselves. Of course, different therapists or healers might express this quite differently, but it seems to me that whenever real healing takes place, it is because people find a sense of truth within themselves and learn to trust, honor, and care for themselves in accordance with that truth. Another interesting direction that healing is taking has to do with allowing the earth to become our teacher and healer. In ancient traditions, the earth and the natural elements were very much our teachers. More recently, we have turned our backs on this earth wisdom and have gone in a different direction, exploring and developing an elaborate technological way of life. And this was written a while ago, so now it's like, really bad. But it now appears that the limits of that way of life are being recognized. People are realizing that if we continue on the same course, we are headed for social and ecological disaster. I think that if we make this turning point successfully and begin listening again to the earth, we will discover that she will teach us how to live in a healthy, balanced, integrated way. I think that's very interesting. This is the direction in which we need to head, for ultimately we cannot separate the healing of the individual from the healing of the planet. They are one and the same. Because consciousness of each individual is connected to the collective consciousness. Although we are individuals, we are also each part of the whole. As we begin to heal ourselves as individuals, we also naturally shift the consciousness of the entire planet. And as the collective consciousness begins to shift, we are each in turn affected by it. Thus, the more people change their consciousness and their way of life, the more the world changes, and the more the world changes, the more individuals change. And we kind of know that, right? We sort of know that, but they're really starting to prove that, which is also interesting, that we are all connected, that it's not just one, we're not individuals. So there's a computer-controlled experiment by Robert G. John and Brenda Dunn. They have shown that minds can communicate complex messages in detail across enormous distances. It seems to make no difference if the individuals are separated by one block or if they are on the opposite sides of the earth. The messages get through sometimes in astonishing detail. These findings are reinforced by the careful studies of cardiologist Randy Bird of San Francisco General Hospital, showing the distant effects of prayer on critically ill patients. His research showed that it seemed to make no difference whether the person praying was next door to the patient or thousands of miles away. So they're really studying these things and, like quantum physics and all that interesting stuff that I don't understand anything. The more I learn, the more I don't understand it.
And it doesn't matter if the person knows they're being
And they
prayed
don't,
for.
yes, I've heard of studies like that too. It doesn't matter if you know you're being prayed for. So, we all know it works though, because we're spiritualists. Local views of the mind cannot explain these findings. We are free, of course, to discard this information, which some people do, but if we try to explain them, these data lead to a different picture of consciousness than our local, physically based here and now view. In the alternate view, the mind is non-local, unconfined to points in space or time, and immaterial. And the thing about time, if I go back here, the information that they were talking about through astonishing detail and distances, the information sometimes gets through to the receiver up to 3 days before it is sent. It's like, what is time? I thought that was really interesting. The picture does not stop there. If minds are not in a place in space or time, then they are unbounded. If unbounded, then they are not separate. This means they cannot be individual, as we have always thought. True, mind may act through individual brains, just as a radio signal can act through a receiver. But that isn't the complete story. Fundamentally, mind must be one, not many. This view of the unitary nature of the mind, which has much modern evidence to support it, leads to a new view of healing. It suggests there is only one non-local mind at work in the healing process. The minds of all healers are one, united non-locally beyond space and time. This one mind envelops the patient as well. In this view, all therapy is self-directed, for there really is no other who exists outside the therapist. Accordingly, healers never act alone. They act in concert as a consequence of the non-local nature of the mind. So I was looking for like a poem or a prayer or some kind of something or other, a scripture to read to kind of, I don't know if this brings this all together, but this spoke to me. And it's from Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And I don't know if you've read it or know about it or anything, but he has conversations with God. So this is God talking to Neil and to everybody. You say it is difficult to walk the path of Christ, to follow the teachings of the Buddha, to hold the light of Krishna, to be a master. Yet I tell you this, it is far more difficult to deny who you are than to accept it. You are goodness and mercy and compassion and understanding. You are peace and joy and light. You are forgiveness and patience, strength and courage, a helper in time of need, a comforter in time of sorrow, a healer in time of injury, a teacher in times of confusion. You are the deepest wisdom and the highest truth, the greatest peace and the grandest love. You are these things, and in moments of your life, you have known yourself as these things. Choose now to know yourself as these things always. Thank you.